Sports Venture Program. I'm Kurt Roth, and this is yet another holiday edition of our special program. This is a great time of the year. We are, let me not forget, we're coming to you live from the 505, from the ProView TV network, high above Central Avenue in beautiful downtown Albuquerque. I've got Adrian behind the glass. Down the hall is Steve Davis, our president. And before we get to our special guest, I just want to remind everyone what we are doing at UNM is providing name, image, and likeness agreements and support for our student athletes. It's a new era. Name, image, and likeness is not only important, it's vital, necessary to compete on the national level in Division I sports. We've set up an incredible organization, and we've made great strides, but we need you. We need the community to get behind us and give us your full support. So I need you to go to our website, 505sports.org. Again, that's 505sports.org. There's so many ways that you can contribute, as little as $1 a month. So again, it's an important time in University of New Mexico sports. We need to succeed as a community, not as individuals. So again, I want to wish everyone, if I missed you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's coming up. And we'll be right back with our guests. So hang with us, please. Kurt Roth, 505 Sports Venture Foundation. We'll be right back.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in shorty, you got my attention. Yo, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
To the 505 Sports Venture Foundation program. I'm Kurt Roth. And I'm about to introduce you to our guest today. We're doing something a little different. Well, not that different, but a little different. I've got a friend, a colleague, someone who works with us, but his background is in college basketball. So if you pay attention to Division I basketball, and I hope that everyone who's watching this does, you might have heard people like Jay Bilas talk about managers. Jay Bilas talks about basketball managers and describes them as the hardest working people in show business. I've had the pleasure on going on numerous trips, whether it be on a charter or commercial airlines, with both men's and women's basketball at UNM. and it's like moving a small army. Players, coaches, trainers, sometimes boosters, and staff in general. And time is of the essence. You can't mess around. You carry a ton of equipment. It's all behind the scenes, and it's vital to the program. And that's just the travel. Anyway, I want to introduce Nilo Padilla. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to be on the show.
Okay. Well, Nilo is employed at 505. He is our legal intern, and we've done a ton of stuff trying to figure out the intricacies of New Mexico law and business as we run a not-for-profit corporation. He's also a first-year law student. Just finished your first semester.
Just finished a couple of weeks ago and ready to start again in a couple of weeks. So
Okay, but you survived.
I got through it.
Okay. I don't want to brag too much, but there was some grade in there, like an A+. So we're really proud of the work he did as a former law student and a lawyer. I think law school is one of the worst experiences. Great education, and when you look back at it, but just a horrible pressurized experience. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So first, you're an Albuquerque guy.
Yeah, born and raised. Went to St. Pius X High School. Grew up a big Lobo fan. So yeah.
And went to UNM from St. Pius.
Yeah, as soon as I graduated, I went
Okay.
to UNM.
So let's look at the year 2019-2020. You became a manager of the UNM basketball team with Coach Paul Weir.
Yes.
How'd that work? How do you even get that position?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I probably wasn't going to play any sports at the collegiate level after high school, and I was already enrolled at UNM. And I saw an ad on Twitter or on something asking for managers to submit, or potential managers to submit an application. And I actually applied, and I didn't hear for like 2 or 3 months, and I just kind of figured like I didn't get it. They just never got it or whatever. And then one day, Coach Ralph Davis called me out of the blue and was like, "Can you come tomorrow?" And I was like, "Sure." And then, just started from there.
So Coach Ralph Davis alone, if anyone knows him, you have to understand how
Yeah.
wacky college basketball would be. They call you with 1 day's notice, and you're ready to
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even know what the job was. I like I said, I grew up a big Lobo fan and was just like, "Oh, it'd be cool to be a part of the team." But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I'm so thankful that I did do that.
Wow, it sounds like we've talked a lot about the 3 years, and we're obviously only going to be able to touch on a few parts of that. But very interesting. You started with Paul Weir. You went through the craziest time, or one of the craziest times in college sports, COVID, and then boom, Paul Weir is not retained by UNM, and Richard Pitino shows up, and you stayed on the staff.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go back. All right, you start with your first year with Paul Weir. Who were the top players on the team then?
First year of Paul Weir, we had like Jaquan Lyle, Carlton Bragg, J.J. Caldwell, Corey Manigault, Vance Jackson, and that first year we started off really good, 13-2. Beat a Wisconsin team that won the Big Ten, and then unfortunately we had a couple injuries, a couple guys get suspended, and the rest of the year was rough. But
some wild off the court things,
a couple,
I guess we
yeah.
could say. Not that much that you can really talk about.
No.
Would you get calls in the middle of the night when stuff went
Nothing
sideways?
too bad. It was usually the next morning when you come into the office for work or for practice or whatever, and then you hear some stories and you'd be like, "Oh, we got to clean this up now." But
Clean it up.
just make sure everyone's okay.
From that team, that's a big-time talented team.
Yeah,
you
like
look at those guys.
6 top 100 kids or something like that. Probably 6 or 7 guys that played at Power 5 level. So yeah, lots of talent.
And
on that team.
then a bunch of them went on to play pro ball.
Yeah.
And some still do, I believe.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite player from that team?
Oh, from that team, to work with Carlton Bragg for sure. Really nice guy. Worked hard and gave his all for the team. Really good guy.
Who was the wackiest guy on the team?
But
Without going into details.
probably Vontae Hendricks, but I still love my guy Vontae. So
Well, everybody loves Vontae. He just marched to the tune of a different drummer,
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had that great team. It was a great team. I remember they were in Brooklyn where they beat my hometown, where they beat Wisconsin. They'd gotten beaten by Auburn the night before and had a real tough loss in a game where they missed a bunch of foul shots in El Paso.
Yep.
They should have won that game. And they head into the Mountain West optimistic. And then unfortunately, for all you Lobo fans that remember, the kind of as the season wound down, the wheels came off, this went wrong, this went sideways, a party here or there, a Dewey here or there, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So we don't want to belabor that, and there's only certain stuff we can talk about. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about the craziest year in college basketball. Hang with us. We'll be right back. Cool.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities.
But it's the people who care
that change everything.
Get ready, Spell, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
This is the 505 Sports Venture Program. I'm here with my guest, Nilo Padilla. Nilo is a legal intern at 505 Sports. Nilo is a first-year law student at UNM Law. And what we're talking about is his past career as a basketball manager for the UNM men's basketball team. All right, so 2021, you've done 1 year. As we remember, the year ends, and for those who are Mountain West basketball fans, they might remember that there was an event in Las Vegas, so the tournament was moved up a week. So the Lobos got eliminated. I believe Utah State knocked the Lobos out. Lobos had a big lead, and then that kid went nuts, and I'm blanking on his name.
Sam Merrill.
Right. And bang, the next week, literally, COVID hits, and I actually remember in the middle of, at halftime of a Big East game, the season was stopped. So now you've got COVID. As we all know, in New Mexico, some of the strictest lockdown rules in the country, probably the strictest. So now we head toward the next season. But it's not normal. You have all sorts of restrictions, starting with, you get back, the season starts in October, even though you players have been here all year. Could you practice at UNM?
Well, I'll take you back a little bit. The players were there when school started, so in August, but they weren't letting any support staff come, so the managers weren't allowed to come because of the COVID restrictions. Eventually, in October, we get a call, and they're like, come in tomorrow, we're ready to have you guys back. But we couldn't be on the court. We were just filming and doing clock and things like that, so that was rough. And no, we didn't have full practices. The restrictions or whatever allowed us to only have three players and 2 coaches on the court at one time. So we would have, 5 or 6 practices, go all day. We'd be at the pit for 8 hours just practicing, and then we'd have to do all the other stuff after. So yeah, that's how that season started.
So, all right, a disaster everybody, every school had difficulties, but I think when you look at the situation in retrospect, UNM was just in a ridiculous position.
Yeah.
So there came a time where you had to go to Texas?
Yeah.
How did that work?
Yeah, so originally we were trying to figure out pretty creative ways to how to practice fully. At the time, New Mexico was what they called like a yellow or a red county, or Albuquerque was a yellow or red county. So we would go to Moriarty for a couple weeks at a time, practice there so we could get full practices because that was a green county. And eventually they made the decision to move us to Lubbock, where we basically ran our program out of a hotel. So yeah.
So you ran out of, and it was a pretty lousy hotel.
Yeah, not the Ritz-Carlton.
And so the guys were actually doing schoolwork in
Yeah.
a hotel in Lubbock. How'd that work?
We had the laptops out in the ballroom or whatever, and we were doing our homework as much as we could. Waking up for the managers at least, waking up at 6, going to get breakfast, coming back, waking the guys up for breakfast, giving them their practice stuff for the day, getting lunch, going to practice, having practice, going back and having to review stats for practice, finishing up laundry and going to bed at 2. So it was quite a lot. But yeah.
Well, as a Lobo fan, I have kind of blanked that season out. There were no highlights as far as I recall. The team won, 2 Division I games?
Yeah, 3 Division I games, I think.
And no games in the pit.
No games in the pit.
Everything on the road.
Yeah.
Any highlights? Anything you remember? Anything that was at least humorous?
Yeah, lots of humorous stories. I'll start off on a good note. I remember the first win we got, and the first conference win we got, because we beat Rice maybe our first game of the year. And then I remember our first conference win was against either Air Force or Wyoming, and that was like a monkey being taken off the back just because we could say like, oh, we won a game. But some humorous stories. I just remember being coming home from practice, and we finished eating dinner, and then the managers and the coaches would sit in the ballroom, and it was like me, a couple.
And Paul Weir is asked to leave. Okay. So that happens. Were you surprised at that?
Not necessarily. I think we kind of all got the vibes just because you can just kind of tell how the season's going, like what's going on. But yeah, it was unfortunate. Coach Weir did a lot for my development as a manager and as a person, so it was tough to see. But also I'm glad that I was able to work with Coach Patino too after.
Well, there you go. So now we're right at the end of the season. It's March, and boom, out of the University of Minnesota, Big Ten, family pedigree. Here comes Richard Pitino. Big change, no?
Yeah, and it's kind of like driving with your eyes closed because you don't really know what's going on. You try to talk to people about coaching changes, and not a lot of people have gone through them. None of the other managers have seen a coaching changes. I think maybe a couple of the other coaches, they would tell us what usually happens, but we're as managers and as the rest of the staff, I'm pretty sure, just as much in the dark about the coaching search and who's going to come as the public is.
Underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging with.
Coming back because their graduation and other things. So we were just kept working. He never told us to go home. So we just kept working.
So what was the big difference that you noticed right away?
Well, I think for a manager with Coach Weir, it was a lot of off the court stuff, a lot of scouting, a lot. He knows when he's serious, he's really serious. But when he's joking around, he's like a friend.
Yeah, well, he's unbelievable. Last week, we were together at a practice or somewhere where he was, and he looked at me and looked at you and goes, "In part-timers, I mean, obviously their talent was there. They wanted an opportunity. An injury here or there, and all of a sudden, Sebastian Forsling starting at center when he was supposedly going to redshirt."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was tough. Bad schedule, not a great schedule. No super tests, but we played some good teams, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara. What's your impression to date?
Yeah, I think they look great. I think the biggest thing, the biggest improvement from last year and the year before to now is the defense. I think they're top 40 in Ken Palm defensive efficiency, and the previous two, cool to see that tie. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember having two freshmen this talented and this good and contributing this much as true freshmen. So
yeah, I remember. I also met Ty on that visit, and Ty's dad is True's older brother.
Yeah.
So he knew movement. We need the community to be engaged. I'm asking you to help at any level you can, because we can be a great, great athletic program. We have the facility.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road.